After days of heading south, the race tacks north and west from Vesoul to Troyes, partly so as not to get to the Jura, the next block of climbing too early, and partly to mark history, the intermediate sprint being at Colombey-les-Deux-Églises, where the peloton famously stopped in the 1960 Tour to pay its respects to Charles de Gaulle. The second sprint should come in Troyes, and we hope it'll be safer than the last one.
Stage 6 of the Tour de France, and it's showtime. This is where it starts to really matter. In some ways, everything on this long stage of 216 kilometres has been leading up to precisely this point. The Tour de France is about to be welcomed for the 11th time, one way or the other in its long history, into the town of Troyes. This group now have still got 23 seconds to defend, 7.3k to go, and that's a really strong bit of riding from these three.
Yeah, they've given it a good try, good effort, but as we'll see now, the peloton is approaching its maximal velocity, which a breakaway 7Ks and finish would need more than 25 seconds to combat it. And there we have. So there's Rafael Majka for Bora. He's very far at the front. He's just being looked after in a GC position.
Yeah. Alberto Contador on his wheel from Trek Segafredo as well, with a similar job in mind, just to keep his position in the peloton. Still very much advantage peloton, but they're not coming back with any great ease. You've got some big engines tracking this down, David, and they're only taking seconds away at the moment. So
what this breakaway needs at the moment is a rainstorm, because that would actually benefit them now.
Yeah.
Because the peloton, all this extra speed would be robbed off going through here on wet roads, but as it stands, it's they're not getting any benefit. This dry weather is making their life more difficult.
5k to go for Kemener, for Langen and for Bakkert. Could it be? Well, very, very unlikely that they'll snatch victory from the sprinters' trains, but they are putting in a really good effort and they are not giving up, not just yet. Still got 20 seconds to go. Let's have a look as the helicopter shot widens out at when the road stretches into a straight line there. The peloton will see them. Big, wide roads, and now Quick-Step Floors move up on the right-hand side of the road. Kittel is the last of those blue jerseys, and that is a much more prominent position, much earlier in the lead-out than we saw 2 days ago. So perhaps there has been a slight revisiting of their tactics and a bit of a rethink as Fabio Zabattini, his lead-out man, moves Kittel closer to the front.
Quick-Step is good to see, because I was thinking for a moment they hadn't learned from the mistakes they made the last couple of days ago, so it's going to be... But again, they might be overcompensating, which we talked about earlier in the stage. They're trying so hard to fix the problems they made that I think they're now burning out. They'll find themselves isolated with 2Ks to go or 3Ks to go at this rate.
They've got a lot of numbers up there, but they'll be getting through them pretty fast. It looked like the first of those lead-out men might have just popped, or might be about to pop, and then they've got, what, 3 or 4 more still there for that's Jack Bauer on the front now, and they've still got about 4 or 5 riders in front of Marcel Kittel. 3.7k to go, and Direct Energie have riders up towards the front as well. So too do Lotto Soudal. They've got 3 riders there, one of whom is Andre Greipel.
And Team Sunweb just blasting up the right. You can see there's 4 riders moving up, so they're just trying to position Michael Matthews in as good a place as they can. Yeah. Because after that, they can see one of the riders moving up to take over.
And the catch is imminent. Peric Kemener puts his tongue out Tommy Voeckler style from his illustrious team leader. He must have learnt that, I guess. And there they all are, looking over their shoulders. And that's it, game over. 3.1 kilometres to go. The breakaway is caught. It's all going to come back together again. Jack Power peels off from the Quick-Step Floors train, and they are swept up. And now it's over to you, the big sprinters' trains. As we pass through 3 kilometres to go, the finish line effectively for the GC teams is breached, and it's over to the sprinters' trains. And interestingly, Dimension Data are right at the front now, and Edvald Boasson-Hagen would be their natural selection, I think, unless Reinhard Janse van Rensburg would be their favoured option here.
Looks like they're doing it for Boasson-Hagen. You see there in the third place with the Norwegian bands on his sleeve, indicating former national champion.
Right, so they're the first team on the road, and then it's FDJ and the green jersey of Arnaud Démare, very visible. Then come Katusha, and Quick-Step Floors have disappeared from the front, and they are about the 4th team in this long, strung-out line at the moment. So 2.3 to go.
Look at Stibar there in 4th position. So Stibar is in the white jersey, but that's Quick-Step. Now he's looking around, he's in prime spot, but once again, Quick-Step aren't where they need to be. So it's his job now to stay there, and now his teammates are moving up. See the Quick-Step moving up there on the right-hand side of the screen. FDJ, Démare, I think Michael Matthews has got Demare's wheel. That's the wheel that everybody's going to want, because they know he's a sprinter on form, and they'll be fighting for that. And it's Michael Matthews just going to try and get back onto the green jersey there. He has. He's going to have to fight now, because Quick-Step is sitting on there as well.
OK, they cross over the canal, they take that left-hander, and then it's pretty straightforward. forward. One little chicane within the final kilometre, that's the only real complication, and it's a sweeping turn rather than anything really that should worry them. But Dimension Data and Reinhard Janse van Rensburg, the South African national road race champion, are trying to set things up for Edvald Boasson-Hagen. Marcel Kittel was down to just one lead-out man, Fabio Zavattini, and there he is. Zavattini trying to bring Kittel further forward.
But he's got Steve Barr up the front waiting, so that's the point. That's where Steve Barr has to stay there if he's not drifted back already, which he shouldn't have done. He should have waited there and just allow his team to get back up to him. But he looks like he's got caught up a bit in all those corners. Now Nasser Bohani is sitting there quite pretty. Mark Renshaw is there, but this is way too early for Mark Renshaw. Normally he's got quite a short. He's a final lead-out man, which means he's normally used with 500 metres to go, not 1.1. So he's going to come off, and Edvald Boasson-Hagen's going to be stuck there.
Yeah, it's going to be checkmate for Edvald Boasson-Hagen unless he can improvise Cavendish style and pick another wheel quickly and hope that someone comes past him and he can jump onto that wheel. It could be chaotic as, well, Quick-Step Floors hit the front. Fabio Zavattini has completely lost Marcel Kittel. Kittel is much further down in about 20th wheel at the moment.
But he's keeping on Demar, so he's done what Mark Cavendish said the other day. He's chosen Demar as the man he wants to sit on. Now, Demar is quite far back, but there's a few sprints in front of him still, and it could be a prime spot. But he's got one lead-out man left, Demar. Oh, there you go, they're bashing each other. That was with Dylan van Groenbergen. Left Zavattini's going, but he's got his teammate a long way back.
Well, Zavattini has done Edvald Boasson-Hagen a big favour there. Boasson-Hagen's going to have to go for a long one. He's got the entire sprinting peloton of the Tour de France determined to come past the Norwegian. Still he's on the front though, but they're just waiting, queuing up to pick off Edvald Boasson-Hagen. He can't surely hang on, can he? He takes a left-hander, swings right. Edvald Boasson-Hagen has the lead, but he's got an awfully long way out. There comes Demar. Has he got the room to go through? He cuts up the Katusha rider there. Demar hits the front now. The Frenchman hunting down a second stage victory, but he's denied on the line by Marcel Kittel. Kittel from Demar. The two best sprinters left in the Tour de France do battle, and the German reverses his fortunes of 2 days ago and wins his second stage victory of this edition of the Tour de France, and there might be many more to come. Everything that he did wrong 2 days ago, he got spot on today.
Yeah, he did. He chose who he was going to follow as Demar, just as Mark Cavendish did, and we saw there how strong Demar is. Now, again, the emotions overcoming, I think, Marcel Kittel after, but I think as is probably this exhaustion more than anything. It was an incredibly fast sprint. I think it must have been tailwind, because the fact that Edvald Boasson-Hagen could go that long sitting down indicates that it was an extremely fast sprint. That just goes to show how crazy these guys are, because even though a couple of days ago he had the big crash incident, he did still go for that gap, which is nuts, really.
It looked like deja vu all over again, didn't it? It looked horrifyingly similar to Cavendish and Sagan. But take nothing away from this guy. He got it spot on today. He is probably the fastest man in the peloton, but you need to prove it at his level. A rider like him has to do it over and over again. Cavendish style, he has to reinforce the point, make it again when it matters, and that takes skill, talent, instinct, bravery and strength, and there Kittel had everything in abundance.
Here it is now, this is the replay. So you can see Edvald Boasson-Hagen, forget that he's part of the sprint. He's basically going for 400 metres. He's losing speed massively. And look, all the sprints are coming up on him. Now look at Arnaud Demar, the skill to get through. He's in full sprint, doesn't even sit down. He just goes through because the difference in speed, and he has every right to do that because it's Edvald Boasson-Hagen's responsibility to get out of the way because he is slowing down so much. And then we're down into like a normal sprint. Look at Kittel. They don't even know he's coming from the left-hand side of the road. He'd used Demar, then he's flicked off to the left while Demar's gone to the right and chosen the dangerous option but managed to get through.
Marcel Kittel, meanwhile, was having his own sprint on the left-hand side where there were no tight gaps to worry about. Kittel, Demar, Greipel was the 1-2-3 with Alexander Kristoff 4th and Nasser Bouhanni 5th. Dan McClay got himself into the top 10 for the first time behind Michael Matthews. But let's hear from the three frontmost men.
First of all, I want to say that I'm very proud on my team. They did a great job. Very different to Liège. And we could really bring ourselves into the front in the key moment and keep me there, so that was really important for the victory. Of course, the last kilometer was then again a little bit freestyle, but I had a good wheel. First from Arnaud Demar, and then I had to go at 250 to the front. And yeah, it went perfect. I could start from a great position, a little bit behind to see where my concurrents go, and yeah, I feel good at the moment.
Can you just talk us through the last 500 meters?
I can take you through the last 5. It was just close your eyes and go through. People hanging over the barriers, nearly taking out riders. It's again for the spectators an appel to not lean over with the phones or whatever. It's pretty dangerous for us. But at the end, the team did an amazing job to put me in a really good position. I just went for it, and I had no chance. That's all. I mean, I did my sprint. I get beaten. It's fine for me.
We thought that after everything that happened a few days ago, that today might be a bit of a safer, a calmer sprint. Was that the case?
We are not playing in the sand here. We are going for stage victory, so we have to fight for it. We have to fight for positions, even with respect to each other. And I think it looked quite safe. I didn't see, of course, the images, but I think without touching any spectators, I didn't touch riders. So I'm just happy I did my sprint. I get beaten. It's okay.
A second stage victory. Does that mean that you'll be focusing on the green jersey now?
For sure, I have it in my focus. But for now, what is most important is that you get points in the sprints, that you get those victories, because they give you a lot of advantage. That is what counts. And for the rest, I try to get the points in the immediate. And then we will see in 1.5 weeks. It's still pretty long.
Sans Sagan, logiquement, il est beaucoup plus candidat pour ce maillot. Vous allez le défendre avec toutes les énergies, j'imagine.
Oui, c'est sûr, malgré que voilà, Sagan était déjà derrière moi au classement avant que je prenne le maillot. Donc voilà, c'est sûr que ça aurait été une belle bataille, mais c'est sûr qu'avec 2 victoires de Kittel, c'est la belle bagarre.
Well, it's a battle. Démare is leading by 27 points despite Kittel's 2 wins, because he's been up there in every sprint, including the uphill one on stage 3. Now, you wouldn't expect the yellow jersey wearer to be the man slowing down the Tour de France, but Chris Froome seems to have the longest warm-down regime in professional cycling, and it strung the podium presentations out almost longer than the stage. A day like today was never expected to change the top of the standings, and didn't. They're untouched from this morning. Chris Froome did eventually get off his rollers and onto the podium after one of the easiest of his 45 days in the yellow jersey.
That was great. I mean, these days really don't come along often, so it was nice to just be on the wheels today and not be 200 k's of stress. That was, I mean, one of the most relaxed days of the Tour de France I've ever done, so I was, quite enjoyable actually.
The same went for Simon Yates on his first day in the white jersey, able to concentrate on other things.
Especially today, for me the main thing is trying to stay cool. It really saps the energy, and you can prepare for the day after. And for the majority of the day, it was easy enough to be able to cool yourself down. Lots of liquids. Lucky enough to have a few good guys around me to go back to get the biddings for me. So I can just cruise in the bunch. But then when we get to the final there, it's pretty stressful and pretty fast. So it's a bit harder to get the fluids on, but you still have to manage somehow.
By definition, you're wearing the best young rider's jersey. You're a young rider. How is it for you dishing out orders, saying, look, I need water, I need this, I need that, to these very experienced teammates you've got around you? Yeah,
I think not just here at the Tour, but or I should really go back all the way till when I first became professional, because that's kind of the role that I not really fell into, but that's where I came to the team for, was to, we really wanted to develop GC guys. And kind of from then I had to really sort of, get used to asking the guys to fetch me bottles or whatever, and now it just feels normal. It feels natural, and the guys know me really well, so they know when to move me up and when not to, and just the small things that make a big difference. So for me it's not really intimidating, or it's really fun.